right, we are back and welcome to 2023. We're extremely excited to kick off the year of the Stronger Together podcast experience as we count down to FETC. I'm really excited to be here. This is my second conversation today. And as I said so many times over the podcasting year that we've had and now kicking into a new year, my favorite part about this is meeting new people and learning from them. And I know our guest today, Kris Thurston, I've known for 4 minutes, and I look forward to learning with them just as you do. And I think part of that is what's really exciting about our field is that we can meet people and learn about their interests and learn from them, and it's incredibly important. I also talk about that the Stronger Together experience is not just individual to individual in the field. I want to thank Swivel and Bulb, wonderful partners, wonderful solution providers. Without their support, we couldn't meet these great individuals from Texas today, or we talked to Patrick from down in Virginia. And tomorrow we're going to talk to two people from out in California. This wouldn't be possible without their work for this experiment or this experience and for each and every day for our students. So without further ado, I am definitely going to welcome in our new guests and my new friends, Kris and Destiny from down in my favorite state besides Massachusetts, Texas.
Hi.
How are you tonight?
We're doing pretty well.
Doing really well.
All right. Well, I'm in the future, so you're about an hour behind. It's 6:18 for you. So for our viewers and listeners who don't know the work of Kris and Destiny, tell us who you are, the work that you do, and your journey in education.
Well, I actually retired from the classroom. I have over 20 years experience with all levels of teaching physics, and I was an EdTech coach for about 7 years and got out of the classroom for a little bit, needed a break, experienced the burnout, and I've been using that time to figure out what programs can Kris and I put together that really help teachers and speak to those educators so that they don't have to face that same burnout that I did.
And I have been in the technology and support side for about 23 years. And so, the biggest lesson that I learned having done the technical side for so long is that if you don't have teachers pulling the technology in through curriculum and pedagogy, then the technical stuff doesn't matter. The tools that you use don't matter because it won't get used, or it won't get used the best way possible. It just doesn't stick. And so for us working together, I bring the technical side, Destiny brings the classroom experience, and that works really, really well. So.
No, absolutely. And I think that is critical. And one of the things I have liked, and for those dedicated fans who've watched every episode, you hear this throughout, that it's not one size fits like just your group and one size is going to fit your group. What both of you are talking about is bringing both the mindset, bringing the skill, bringing the solutions together. And I think when you do that, as Kris just said, and having the pedagogy involved in that, then we focus on the learners. And I think that is critical. And, as a school principal for 11 years and now recently a district leader, Destiny, I've seen that burnout. I've seen that real stress on that. So they can't even get to the technical stuff. For those who are watching this, like, this is one more thing. I have to go back to work tomorrow. This vacation's over. What is something you can share with those individuals, like getting back into the swing of things?
Well, for us, I know that we've come across a lot of resistance for, I don't have time, and it's one more thing to put on the plate. And just trying to break through that mindset of, if you can just trust me and take those few minutes, it's going to make all the difference in the world. We have a lot of teachers that are so set on bell-to-bell teaching, and they think they don't have that time, versus, if we take a few minutes for that mindfulness, and we started adding 2 minutes of nothing at the start of class and just doing those breathing exercises and slowing down and really taking the time to take a step back, that it really helps the students be more engaged and they're more willing and able to learn versus trying to just push and sludge through.
No, and I think that is incredibly important. And I know from an early age, when I graduated in 1993 from Springfield College, and our humanics philosophy is spirit, mind, and body. And I learned early on the importance of that. And when it's off balance, it's just not going to be your best self. Now, Kris, you are the one more thing guy. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm going to come in and here's some great tools or some great things. How do you balance that? One, knowing the work that Destiny does, but two, also having that excitement to bring something into schools.
I part of it is finding finding the new shiny thing, but then and the things that will work, and that actually comes from spending more time in classrooms. So for someone like me as a director, I make it a point and part of my weekly cycle to go through and actually just sit and observe classes, and look for places where things might fit in, and then making time to sit down with teachers and going through things and finding where they feel their weak points are, and then helping them pick the tools from the toolbox to reinforce what they're working on. So
yeah, and I think having that just one of the things I was thinking when you said that is building that risk taking in education, and really starting to dive into that. And I know for you two, you took on a risk fairly recently. You launched EdTech Nerds website.
Yeah.
All right. So you all just took a big risk, and for our viewers there, I have Kris and Destiny's Twitter handle down below. I'm also going to throw up now the EdTech Nerds website. Tell us about that.
So this comes from the evolution of Destiny leaving the classroom, and then us trying to find a better way to help teachers recognize the value in the investment of the mindfulness and the tools that are available, so that you can be more efficient, be more effective in your classes, and help you deal with that one more thing, so that it doesn't have to be that next thing doesn't have to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, so to speak. So.
Right. And helping the teachers find that efficiency and organization, but still allowing for them to have the creativity. It's their voice that's reaching the students. It's not just, oh, here's a textbook, here's some worksheets, but what tools can we help them find that really speaks to their personality and also doesn't add that one more thing.
Yeah, and I think that's really critical. And if you haven't, the website's being built because it was just like a month old, so it's still you're adding water to these seeds to let them grow. But a few things that I saw was efficiency, right? Mm-hmm. That was one thing that you talked about, and it's one thing I try to share with leaders. What does that mean from your lens when you start talking through the EdTech nerd lens? When you talk about efficiency for anyone who goes to the site or wants to hire you to support them, what does that mean?
For me, it's working smarter, not harder. So what are some ways you can do? I think when you showed that graphic, it talks about repeatability and reusability. How can I chunk some items together so that I can get a lot done at once versus stopping and starting and stopping and starting?
Yeah. And we also talk about, like, with the repeatability and reusability, being able to take your content and keeping it small enough and chunked up enough so that you can be agile in your lesson planning, because things happen throughout the day, throughout the week in schools. Your schedule might change, you might have a bad weather day depending on where you live. Around here, when it gets icy bad, and so we'll lose a week, whereas up in Massachusetts you might lose a day per school,
right? Or
right?
Get to school.
Yeah. So, but when things like that happen, how do you punt and redirect? Maybe the football team makes the finals and they're gone for 2 or 3 days or something like that. And your half of your class is varsity football players. So now how do I redirect that class and not leave those kids, in the dirt and stuck behind because all of a sudden they're out? So if you have it chunked, then you can reuse those chunks in different ways with different tools. So I can have a lecture and dump it very quickly into something like Edpuzzle and stick some questions on it, and it doesn't take me 3 hours to rebuild my class.
Yeah, and so another piece that I saw on there, and we could go through the website for hours, but I'm going to just touch on these two pieces because it's really good, and it's a lot of really in-depth work, and I can't wait to see the finished product. But one that really struck me was creativity. and you both are talking about that in a different lens, but how do you bring in creativity in both from the mindfulness lens and then the EdTech management side?
Well, with that, I think it's about building the relationships. So if the students see that you're not excited about what you do, then using something, whether it's a personal, some kind of connection that you can get with them, and that lets your personality show through with whatever creativity you have. Am I better at creating videos? Am I better at doing live labs? Am I better, with live lectures and discussion groups or Socratic seminar? And that comes from how the message is delivered and how the content is delivered is the creativity on the teacher side, but also from the student side, how can they get that information back to you and let you know what they've learned? It doesn't have to be, I'm going to write a 10-page paper or I'm going to take this test. So, finding that differentiation that still allows the students their own voice to convey back to the teacher what they learned.
Yeah. That's really pretty much it.
All right. She hit the nail on the head, right, Kris? Like, when it's efficient, as you talked about earlier, like we hit the nail on the head. So from what I see from your background, you are veteran conference goers and you are in Texas. Yeah. And there's a big event there that I always want to get to, TCA. So tell me about your experiences at TCA.
For me, TCEA has always been the starting point for my year. So because it's always the first week in February, so going to TCEA is kind of like my recharge, and then going and then figuring out what I want to be able to do as far as professional development and bringing things in and starting new programs for the next year. That's always what the focal point for me has always been. And so in the last year or two, it's become more about presenting as well. And so that's always exciting and fun too. So
yeah, that was the TCA conference is definitely where I got a lot of my ideas as a classroom teacher and an EdTech coach. But then, as Kris said, we've transitioned a little bit more over to the presenter side. And even though I love doing that, you still have to find the balance because there's so much to learn from other people. It's part of your stronger together aspect. And they've been really good to us. We've had the opportunity to present several sessions, and we've got 5 coming up at that conference. And then each of us are course builders for them for their online courses for professional development.
So you fell into the traditional educator kind of trap right there, where you do these amazing things, but you don't really talk about it because is it bragging? Am I talking about myself too much? So I'm just going to go back at you and ask about these courses, cultivating calm in Google Workspaces. So share that for those educators who want to attend these.
So for mine, the Cultivating Calm course is 5 modules. It starts out with taking you through just the physiological aspects of how stress affects your body. And then goes through breathing techniques and different ways to incorporate whether you need to energize and get a little bit after that afternoon slump, or if you need to calm down and relax after you've been stressed. And then I think a lot of teachers, just that physical movement's really important, and even for the students too. So finding things they can do at their desk and getting over the mindset of, I don't have to change clothes and go work out for an hour. I've got 5 minutes, I've got 10 minutes, I can sit and do these stretches. I'm also a certified yoga teacher. So bringing in some aspects of chair yoga or something and letting teachers know that you can do something simple where you are. And it's also easy enough to show your students as well. And then it gets into specific lesson planning and long-term projects and being able to use that as a group together from the student side of it too.
And then the Google Workspace admin course is
in the works.
It is all of the ins and outs of the Google Workspace admin console and all of the things that system administrators for schools need to know to manage their Google domains. So
wonderful. And just kind of keeping with the conference theme and the Google Workspace, you are, as we transition to FETC, you're going to be hosting a roundtable on that same topic. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes. And so that one, that session, it's a short session. It's only 30 minutes, but it is for those of us who are Google Workspace admins to be able to get together and basically share and commiserate about the few curveballs that Google has thrown at us as far as things like age restrictions and storage management go. Those are big changes that they've made in the last year or so.
Yeah, and I think it's important for Java-likes to come together, and I think that's why these events, for me personally, I find them so rewarding, because a lot of our roles are singletons, right? There's one-offs. There's not like 7 Chris's in your department or your district, and same when I had different roles.
Yeah.
So having these opportunities, you get to talk shop and really get into the work that you do, and not only as the leader of the roundtable, but also as a learner as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then together you have a session louder for the people in the back. Audio, video, and screen recorders you should be using. So for those who are looking through the menu of choices, they see this one. Why are they coming to your session?
So that one is a 2-hour workshop. And we tried really hard in choosing our tools to pick things that run the gamut of ease of use, so really great UX UI design for reducing that fear of failure in the teachers that if they want to try something new. And then all the way up to the more robust, if you totally want to geek out and get into all the ins and outs. So we have some of those tools as well. And then also being mindful of budget concerns. So making sure that we have free things available up through some of the ones that offer subscriptions. And then with it being a workshop, the audience will have that time to play and really develop a lesson or, some sort of plan, whether it be for professional development for their teachers, or if it's something to use in the classroom. They get that hands-on experience to play with some of those tools with us going through and guiding them. And then, we tend to use Wakelet as our collaboration tool, and all of that is at every conference we present. So it's an ever-growing resource that the audience participants will be able to share and collaborate with each other. And then as we present on the topic at future conferences, they'll have all those resources continuing to grow for them as well.
Yeah, Wakelet's one of my favorite tools, and just having that workspace to bring everything together, it goes to your efficiency, right? It talks about different ways to bring that together. So what are some obviously we want people to come to the session, but what would be an example of an audio or video?
So Screencast-O-Matic is one that we've really been working with. They've added so many new features to be able to really increase their video editing. They do have a free version all the way up through some premium features. Soundtrap, we've had a lot of teachers at Kris's school talk about wanting to do podcasting with their students and figuring out how they can work that in as well. And then Flip is another really big one just because of the ease of use, and it's free for that. Are there any others that you'll highlight?
And we talked about going all the way over to the super nerdy side. So we talked about we were throwing in using OBS, whether you want to broadcast or just record. And so having those tools available, that kind of thing, you can really kind of get into the weeds with OBS. So
and then WeVideo, because it allows layering, depending on how in depth you want to get with your videos.
Absolutely. And if you want to check out Screencast-O-Matic, websites down below. And I think those audio pieces are critical as we are starting to get students to transfer learning and talk in different capacities to make that happen. So I think from what you shared, this is your first FETC. Is that correct?
It is.
All right.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward just to seeing what other conferences are like and getting to know teachers and educators that are in different realms. My only experience is in private Catholic schools. So getting that other side to it of, expanding that reach and public schools and what's needed and what's wanted and how to really help the administration and the teachers work together.
I'm excited to see something new. So
okay.
So TCEA is absolutely fantastic. But so adding adding another conference to the list and seeing something different and different viewpoints, I think for me is going to be a big deal. Different different networking. It's a different audience. So
And FETC has different types of sessions that we haven't experienced before. So being able to attend those and see what that's like too.
Yeah, and I think just having that collaboration and bringing people together. So if you are heading down to FETC in New Orleans, make sure to check out Kris and Destiny. They have a roundtable, they have sessions, they have their new website up and running. We 3 weeks further along, so you can check all that out. Make sure to stop in and see me as well. We'll get a chance to meet in person. I'll be podcasting live on the floor, as well as having a couple sessions too. So I hope we get a chance to meet in person. I've been asking all of our guests to swing by to say hi and love to grab a picture together and just keep that Stronger Together experience kind of moving forward. It really started at FETC. It was really one of my first time national events and meeting people. And now for you, since we just met, what does Stronger Together mean to you?
Would you like to go first?
Sure.
No.
For us, and like one of the points that you brought up from our website is that it's all about it is all about connections. We can't do this alone. We need our fellow teachers and our fellow technicians and administrators to be able to do this together. But we also, the teachers need that connection with the students. The students can't do it themselves either. And so building that connection, that one-to-one relationship between the teacher and the student is absolutely crucial and the beginning of everything else that happens in the classroom. And so, so if the teacher and the student can get together, then that's the first half of the job, right? So.
Yeah. And you've talked about the new one-to-one not being one-to-one device per student, but having that every student feels like they have a one-to-one relationship with those teachers. Like they have that personalized experience for them. And for me, part of the Stronger Together is also reducing the fear of failure, whether that's in the classroom or on the teacher side of it. And knowing that it's okay to ask for help and everybody messes up and we're all human and figuring it out together. That's one of our greatest resources, is being able to help each other.
Wonderful. All right. So I'm going to do something a little different now because Destiny, I need some support from you. Okay. So one of the things that I have done in the years at FETC is run around like chicken with my head cut off. My hair is on fire, what little I have left. And I never seem to really take a breath. So what is something I could do over those 4 days to like get me in that mindset and not be burnt out, even though I come back every year and I love it. So I'm just going to totally just ask you live on the air, like, okay, what is something I can do at the event too?
Well, there are two. Okay. I actually experienced that feeling. We had our first ISTE conference last summer.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
I sat down and I was like, where's that buzzing sound coming from? And actually it was me. And one of my favorite breathing techniques, it's called Brahmari Pranayama, or it's a bee breathing. And they actually teach this with younger students after they come in from recess time as well. And you just hum on the exhale. So you'll inhale through the nose and hum as you exhale. And those sound vibrations are actually like physiologically healing you and relaxing you from the inside out.
All right, I'm definitely going to do that.
And then the other one is Take 5, and that one's one of Chris's favorites. So I'll let him talk about it.
So the Take 5 combines, it's like multisensory and multifocus. So if you hold your hand out and then you take your other finger and trace the outside of your hand. And so it's inhale on the way out and inhale on the way in. Or I'm sorry, inhale on the way out, exhale on the way in, inhale on the way out, exhale on the way in, and do that inhale, exhale 5 times all the way around the outside of your hand. And the combination of focusing on tracing your finger around your hand and focusing on inhaling and exhaling, and then getting all of the physical feedback of the feeling on the tip of your finger and the feeling on the outside of your hand makes the rest of the world go away for a minute. And that's the one that I use when I'm stuck in traffic or I'm stuck behind the lady in the grocery store line that has a booklet full of coupons and is paying that's when Take 5. And you can be super obvious and hold your hand out, or you can just keep your hand in your lap and be real subtle about it. But that's a huge one for me.
Yeah. And the thing with both of those is engaging as many senses as possible. So whether it's the humming sound on the bee breathing or the proprioceptive touch with your fingers, that all helps to really initiate that parasympathetic part of the nervous system so that you go into that rest and digest state, and dropping the shoulders and getting out of the fight or flight with the running around with your head on fire feeling. So
awesome. Well, I truly appreciate it. I think it just exemplifies why we need to be stronger together and learn from each other and really talk about how we can be better for ourselves. So Kris and Destiny, thank you so much for being flexible, coming on tonight and getting ready for FETC.
Thank you for having us on. This has been amazing.
We really appreciate it and look forward to meeting you.
All right, we look forward to meeting you. And if you don't follow Kris and Destiny, check out their Twitter handles below. Watch back to see the website that they have launched and getting running. And I appreciate your feedback because, as I say at the end of every episode, we are stronger together when we put we over me.